All right, welcome back. Today we are talking about independent versus dependent clause. I have up here some of the necessary background information. Pause your video now, take a look at it. If you need to review this information, I recommend that you do. Okay. So I'm going to keep this one thing up here, actually, clause and phrase and clause. So today we're looking at the difference between an independent and a dependent clause. I've tried to strip the definitions down to make them sensible, but in doing so, I may have made them a little too stripped down. So I kept clause here as a definition so that you could reference it. An independent clause is a clause that can stand alone. Okay, stand alone, as in is a complete idea, is understandable by the audience. A dependent clause is a clause that cannot stand alone. This is usually because it begins with a subordinating conjunction or a relative pronoun. If that's not making a lot of sense right this minute, give me just a second and hopefully it will. So remember, those are our definitions there, phrase and clause, independent and dependent clause. So first, an analogy. I think it's helpful to think about independent clauses as a parent or an adult, and a dependent clause as a 4-year-old child. Here's why. Just like you'd never let a 4-year-old go for a walk without his or her parent, you'd not let a dependent clause appear in writing without an independent clause. Well, why? Well, dependent clauses can't stand alone, okay? 4-year-olds shouldn't go for walks by themselves. They should have an adult with them. But here's the why of dependent clauses not being able to stand on their own. Look at these 4 examples and ask yourself, are these complete thoughts? Can they stand alone as an idea? I think the answer is no. Because I went to school. The audience is left wondering, what? Because you went to school, what? There must have been some results. You seem to be getting at that. After you arrived home, what happened? We're left hanging here. After you arrived home, there's a sequence that should be going on here that's not occurring. While she enjoys cereal, is there something else that she also enjoys, or is there something she would prefer? We're left with a question here. Whichever road she takes, again, we're left with a question. Whichever road she takes, what? So these are dependent clauses. The reason that they're a clause is each one of these has a subject. Each one of these has a subject and that subject's verb. If you need a little bit of explanation for that, I'll give you a little bit of clarity here. So, I went to school. In this example, we have a subject, I, and we have an action performed by that subject, went. Refer back to the clause definition if you need help with that. After you arrived home, well, we have a subject, you, and we have an action done by that subject, arrived. So we have a clause in each of these examples. Again here, she enjoyed, she takes. So you have subjects, and you have these subjects performing verbs. The catch of it is these are not complete ideas. So back to my analogy. Just like a 4-year-old can't function by himself, none of these can function by themselves. They need an independent clause to be added to them so that they can function properly. So I've done that here. Because I went to school, I was not marked absent. After you arrived home, Jessie started making dinner. While she enjoys cereal, Abby also loves oatmeal, and she will succeed whichever road she takes. Note that the added information is always an independent clause. If I were to take out this first dependent clause, this second part could stand alone as a full thought. I was not marked absent. You understand what that means. You might not understand the whole context, but you understand what I was not marked absent means. There's no question left for us. There's no, what? We understand that this person was not marked absent. Same goes for this. You have a dependent clause that cannot stand alone at the beginning, after you arrived home. The second part that I've added is independent because Jessie started making dinner. If I remove the first part, it could stand alone as a sentence. Jessie started making dinner. I know the actor and the thing done here, and there's no additional wonderment at what could have happened after this. Same goes for here. While she enjoys cereal, Abby also loves oatmeal. While she enjoys eating cereal is our dependent clause that cannot stand alone, and Abby also loves oatmeal is an independent clause that can stand alone. So I hope that you're seeing that these words like while, because, after are sort of the culprits. If we got rid of them, we would have independent clauses. I went to school. You arrived home. She enjoys cereal. But with these, what are called subordinating conjunctions, the clause that follows becomes dependent. Okay. This last one, whichever road she takes, this word is a relative pronoun. And it works just like these subordinating conjunctions for the most part. There's a little bit of usage different that comes in. But this last one I wanted to highlight as an example because you might be asking yourself, well, why should we really care about knowing this? What's the point of knowing the difference? Well, there are two reasons here. Here's the two reasons we want to know this. One, it helps us prevent fragments or incomplete sentences in our writing. If we start a sentence out with because, we should understand that we need to have an independent clause attached to it. And two, more importantly, it helps us to begin to understand comma rules in what are called complex sentences. These are all examples of complex sentences that have two clauses and are joined by a relative pronoun or by a subordinating conjunction. So it's really important if we want to punctuate sentences correctly in standard academic English that we have a really firm command of these rules. The best thing I can do to point you in the right direction for this is give you the comma rule. So the comma rule is if you start a sentence off with a dependent clause, you'll need a comma before the second clause. If the dependent clause is in the second position, no comma is needed. Now, you can look at this definition all day and try and remember it, or you can look up the Awubis song, which is performed by a teacher and his student, and it's hilarious. It does a good job driving home this exact rule that I've summarized here. So go YouTube search Awubis song, and you'll be very pleased. It'll help you very much in remembering the comma rule. Where this leads us, next topic, we should be thinking about sentence types: simple, compound complex, and compound complex, because these are really the four sentence types in English. And if we have a command of them, we can do a lot in academic writing. We can write a huge variety of sentences effectively. So that's where I'll leave you today. Good luck.